Hello, everyone. We are back again with our next fireside chat. We have Gandhari from GitHub and Rajiv from Freshworks joining us as speakers, and we have Ajay from Startup Rezo to moderate the session. Over to you, Ajay.
Great. Thanks, Ganesh. But I think introducing Gandhali and Rajiv as just GitHub and Freshworks is not doing justice.
Justice.
GitHub is where the world builds software. If you're talking of innovation, if you're talking of technology and startups, 73 million developers across the world is not small number. And Freshworks, first Indian SaaS startup to be listed in the US. Again, that's mighty, inspirational as well for a lot of startups out there. So welcome both of you. I'm pretty sure that your respective organizations do not require an introduction per se, but Gandhali, if you can talk about the role that you're playing at GitHub, and then going on to Rajiv, talking about the startup program and the different technology alliances that you run, that would be handy. So Gandhali, over to you.
Thanks, Ajay, and thank you, everyone. And thanks mainly for this opportunity to speak in front of this audience. My name is Gandhali Samant, and I lead the developer ecosystem and market engagement charter for GitHub India. As you said, GitHub does not need introduction, but what I do is I look after the entire community. And when you say developers, it could be student developers, it could be startups, it could be enterprise developers, and it could be open source developer. We look after all of that, and we engage with this community. We try to tell them about what GitHub is doing and what is the latest innovation happening at GitHub. We also have a startup program where we want to work with the vibrant Indian startup ecosystem, and that's all I work on, and I'm very excited to be here. Thank you.
That's all. That's all was classic. It was a good one. But Rajiv, over to you.
So first, thanks Ajay and team for having me here. Hi everyone, this is Rajiv. I head the startup program and technology alliances at Freshworks. Been with the company for about 6 years now, and as you know, we build SaaS products for customer engagement and employee engagement solutions. And my role has been initially when I started off as a product manager. I launched our technology marketplace and started building our technology partnership ecosystem. We scaled it from zero to 1,000 plus apps in under 3 years, and which was one of the fastest growing SaaS marketplaces in the world at that point of time. And post that, I started taking over the GTM aspects of partnerships, where we tried to make technology partnerships a growth driver for Freshworks. So we started working on co-marketing, co-building, and co-selling with partners in a structured partner program. Post that, I started working on the startup program, and for about 2 years now, I've been running the startup program globally. The purpose of the startup program is more like a paid forward initiative, where we want to help startups succeed, and we help by providing more credits on our products. We have a full suite of products that are extremely startup friendly. We were a startup 10 years back, and today we are a listed company in NASDAQ. So primarily, we know the kind of tools that startups need to acquire customers and also scale customers. So we have a full stack of products which we give out on credits to our startup customers. We then also provide them with curated content, where we reduce a lot of noise and provide only required content for founders and team members to scale. We also have a strong mentorship program where some of our mentors from Freshworks who have been there, done that, come and spread the knowledge into startups globally. And the third part is primarily access to customers and GTM. So, which is where we help startups in our startup program to expand their customer base by connecting them to our customers, or we also help them to raise their next round of funding by organizing a lot of VC connects and everything in a very, very curated way. So since it's not like a paid forward initiative for namesake. We actually have a dedicated team that is focusing on ensuring the startups are onboarded properly. They get the right kind of support resources, and whatever way possible, we want to help them to grow as well. So that's what I do at Freshworks.
Great. Thank you so much, both of you, for providing that quick overview of the roles that you play and how organizations at your end are enabling startups and the overall ecosystem. So, coming to the topic, how COVID-19 has fast-tracked digital transformation, I think we couldn't have had a more appropriate kind of panelists or speakers. One on one hand, with where you're working with an extensive developer community and with the world going kind of remote. I think that's a good one, and also with the way automation has kind of picked up. I think Freshworks definitely can provide a lot of perspective on that. But looking within your organization itself, and not just from a not just from a customer or a user perspective, Gandhali, if I can come to you first on this one,
Mhm.
uh, how has digital transformation, how has COVID-19 kind of, for the past year and a half, fast tracked things within GitHub? Wearing the lens or looking at the needs that may arise, given how the world has kind of changed in terms of the way we work or from where people work. How have things changed for you at GitHub?
So, I think last 1.5 year has been the most difficult for the entire world. I would say the mankind, right? Everybody has been through many different problems, personal, at work, and it's just been difficult if you have to describe it in one word. At GitHub, though we've also went through all this, we had a kind of, I would say, already experience of doing it. So if you know, GitHub has been a remote first company since its inception. So we never required people or employees to work out of a specific office. Yes, we do have offices all over the world, but it was never a requirement. Not only it added flexibility for all our employees, which we call hubbers, but also it gave us complete flexibility to hire talent from wherever we could hire, right? And when this pandemic came, I think that helped us a lot. That we were already remote, all our processes and procedures were already tuned to becoming a remote working place. But there is another layer to it. If you see, GitHub is called like a home for open source, right? And again, the concept behind open source has always been collaboration, remote collaboration, between developers in two different corners of the world. So the platform was built accordingly to enable that, and that has also been an underlying layer for GitHub. So I would say we had probably much less impact than other organizations which were not already enabled for this, but at the same time we had our own challenges. Like for example, onboarding is something we did physically, and quickly we had to move to how to give that same onboarding experience to people while doing it online, right? Getting the hardware to new hires, getting the same experience to new hires. I think that's where we really had to be innovative and create new processes and stuff. And I think that helped us look at ourselves also, that though we see that we are a remote first company, there are still things that we take for granted when you are
Hmm.
not forced to do it. And when something like this happens, you take a look at that. So I think yes, we did undergo a transformation, but it was, I would say, still much easier than companies which did not have these remote first policies or were not already equipped to work in this way. Another thing is, when this COVID struck, people had to start working from home, and that added a lot of strengths. Like, how do you make sure you have bandwidth? How do you make sure you have IT support? How do you make sure you even have infrastructure, a place to sit and work from home, right? And we had those work from home benefits already put in place. They were there before COVID. So for us, again, it was a no-brainer. It was no innovation, but those helped some of our customers. Like, we told them that this is how we are doing this. And if you see, a lot of companies have now come up these work from home benefits, that you get paid for your bandwidth, or you get paid a certain amount to get a good chair or ergonomical table and all that. But I think for us, this was all built in, and we could actually help our customers with some of these ideas that we already had running.
Great. And thank you so much, Gandhali. I mean, the remote first, I definitely didn't know that it was a remote first company right from
Yes.
inception. But going to you, Rajiv, I mean, with people working remotely, I'm sure that there are a lot of functions that have been automated, and that's kind of pretty much been mission critical to the broader kind of digital transformation journey. But when it comes to driving engagement, whether it is within organizations, whether it is with customers, I think who better than you guys to talk about. So, but from again going to the same point that I was making to Gandhali, how have things changed within Freshworks to address some of these requirements or these changes probably that have come about in the past year and a half?
Yeah. So to talk about within Freshworks first, right? So overall, the first thing that we realized that we initially, again, like a lot of companies, we thought that this is temporary, and for a month or so. It's going to stay and go back. But as soon as we realize that it's going to be more intense and it's going to be more it's going to be there for a longer time, the first thing that we took was, because we were a completely not remote company, all of us were in office in most of the times, and we rode on energy of people, right? So Freshworks is known for the energy levels within the organization. We were known for our amazing coffee. We were known for the work culture that we have, people sharing things transparently, walk-ins into meetings and getting together and working a lot and stuff like that. So the first reaction that we had was, okay, we have to first take care of our employees. So the focus shifted from doing everything together to doing everything safely. So our CEO's first step was, okay, let's ensure our employees are safe first. Let them get back to their homes, do whatever it takes to ensure that people are going back to their homes. Second, as a company, we invested immediately on infra that employees need at home. So be it shipping laptops to people, so all of us had laptops anyways, but paying for faster internet, getting Wi-Fi modems, chairs, and everything was immediately paid for. And we even started thinking about initially itself, we saw the surge in meetings. Again, from a customer standpoint, we are one of the first touch points for every customer that we have globally, right? So we are customer support tools. So when things break like a pandemic, the first thing we saw was our customers were holding on to our customers. So if you take an industry like travel, we initially thought, okay, travel is going to take a hit, so it's going to be quiet. But we saw 300% increase in traffic coming to our travel customers right from the day of the pandemic, because people wanted to reschedule, people wanted to travel another time, refunds, and all those things started coming in, right? Which means that our teams was also needed to support our end customers, so that we saw a surge in support as well. So we ensure that there are teams that are working night shifts and stuff like that had enough support. We provided fitness allowances, reading allowances, and everything that will help our employees to be at peace with whatever stress that they're handling. A lot of mental health help desk was set up and stuff like that. So we were able to move remote very quickly because we are completely on the cloud, and most of our employees use our solutions as well. So that was not the challenge, but the challenge was to ensure people adopt to working remotely for a continuous basis from where we were. And I think every team scaled up drastically, especially our IT team were working 24/7 literally on these hours to ensure they were available on Slack. Every ping was answered quickly. So that way the company responded beautifully. But since we were able to do it only because we were on cloud, if we had an on-prem setup, if we had tools that we were dependent on an on-site presence and stuff like that, we would have suffered.
Cool. Thank you so much for providing that perspective, more of inside out. So now I'll kind of just turn it around to hear from you as to how have your customers evolved in terms of prioritizing and investing more on technology. The scale up that you probably might have seen with the spike that a lot of them would have experienced. If I can go to you, Rajiv, first on that one.
Yeah. So, in fact, that was eye-opening for us to see the kind of changes that our customers were going through. Because we were anyways a younger company, but there are companies that are 40, 50 years old who are using customer support for solutions. And suddenly they are so used to having their call centers near their offices. They were so used to having their infra on-prem, and all those things were happening. And these are large brands, right? So suddenly overnight, their call center employees cannot go into the office, right? And people don't have laptops at home. People are sitting remotely somewhere. So the support levels were taking a hit big time. So digital transformation or assisted automations and AI-driven automations became a savior for them, because they need to really started to the metrics that they were focusing on primarily was on NPS and high level metrics. Okay, what is our NPS? What is our number of tickets that we are receiving, and all those things, right? Basically, optimization mechanisms were in place when business was as usual. Now, when the pandemic came in, everything flipped. So they had to actually rethink their entire customer journey, because the number of touch points a customer has with the business has increased so much in the past few years. And in the pandemic, we saw that every single company which were operating in a single channel, say if you're a retail store, okay, you had one channel, customer comes to your store, buys a product, goes home. But now customers are calling you, customers are messaging you, customers are WhatsApping you, customers are Google chatting you, right? There's so many ways, social, everything started coming in. So they had to really take a step back, immediately think about how to bring all customer conversations in a central place. And they started thinking about customer journeys deeper.
Yeah.
And they started deploying their investments on places where they can see immediate impact, or either on top line or on bottom line, right? So digital investments ranked, like, it became the number one priority for companies. Second, customer journey digitization became the number two priority, right? So people cannot have people walking in anywhere. So even if you're a bank, even if you're a company that needs physical presence, you need to have a digital presence now. So the investments were moved into digital customer experience standpoints. And third, move to cloud accelerated. And from the reports that I read, this 2 years has given us the acceleration that was expected to come in the next 10 years. So every CIO moved a lot of workloads into cloud so fast, and that helped them to build a redundancy plan, or a resilience plan for the organization. And fourth, driving simple automations, right? If you are a fintech company, okay, half your help desk queries are going to be about what happened to my transaction, or is my order coming home, or can I take this FD this way, and stuff like that. So people actually took a stab at automating a lot of their basic L1s, and that really, in fact, for some of the largest fintechs in India today, there's about 80% of their interactions are completely automated. So people focused on deflections, people focused on automations without losing the customer touch point edge. So that became a priority, and we saw investments in all these areas to be survival investments for the company rather than novelty.
Because you mentioned survival, I'll come to my next question after I have Gandhari take up the same point. But Gandhari, what has been your experience from a customer viewpoint?
So I'm just gonna go back to my previous experience, Ajay. As you know, I joined GitHub recently, but I was with Microsoft for many years, and I worked with some of the largest global top customers of Microsoft from engineering side, and most of them were digital transformation projects that I used to work on. They were, as you would think, many of them were like, on-prem to cloud migration, or re-architecturing, reimagining the entire application landscape, the data landscape, and such. And anytime we would work or think about a digital transformation project, the timelines would be something like 3 to 5 years, nothing smaller than that. You really had to break down in chunks and find something which could be done in 2 months, 6 months. But otherwise, if you tell a customer, they would say, no, this is going to take at least 5 years for us to get there. Guess what? When COVID happened, those things happened within probably half the time that the customer was expecting to be. And I think one big realization that came out of this in picture is you don't have to be perfect, or you don't have to have perfection to be digitally transformed, right? You can start and you can get the business running, you can get the solutions running in cloud, and then you can perfect these. And that was, I think, one of the biggest realization all the companies, big enterprises had when they had to do that transformation within a few months, which they had planned for years. And that's where a platform like GitHub really comes into picture, because when you look at digital transformation, what is it? At the end, it's all technology based, it's all software based, it's all code based. And you need platforms which let you be agile, which can really let you help faster, you can move faster, you can innovate faster, you can really look at the ideas outside. So I think that's where the need, like the need for platforms like GitHub really emerged out in these kind of crises. On the other hand, a big part of our audience is open source developers, and I would see that open source ecosystem, it wasn't much affected. It went on like that. The number of contributions would happen to open source didn't change. Again, why? Because they were already digitally transformed, right? So I think that was one of the biggest learning lessons we had as a IT community, that we don't always have to have a big plan and have to achieve perfection. We have to get started somewhere.
Great, and thank you so much for to both of you for using certain words which segue themselves into my next question, because I wanted to, after all that you spoke, whether it is about survival, innovation, technology transformation. My next question was from your perspective, and both whether in terms of customers that you already had, probably the new partners and customers that came on board. I guess while many would look at it from a survival instinct,
Mhm.
this entire phase, for a lot of them, probably this was also an opportunity to build or leverage on technology
Right.
to innovate and actually thrive and probably go the next level. So, Gandhali, if you could talk about certain things that you saw, which, like you said, right? I mean, uh, projects which otherwise would have been 5 years long probably got
Mm.
completed in 18 months and 24 months because that was the need of the hour. I mean, if banks are shut, uh, how do I enable or empower my customers to engage, whether it is they're checking the savings account, whether it is deposits or whatever. I mean, there's
Yeah.
no other option but to go digital. So what were some of the cool things that you saw where technology was an enabler to innovate and actually thrive during this period rather than just try to survive?
So I'm very happy that you took a banking experience, Ajay. I'm gonna digress a little bit, and I'll give a example of InsurTech, right? So this is again one of the like largest insurance company within India, and you know how the claims processes work, right? Right now, if you have a claim, you call somebody. If somebody comes, I'm talking about car
Sure.
claims. You know,
Sure.
you have an accident, somebody comes, takes the pictures of your vehicle, they go back, they create a code, you agree on it, then all that stuff, it's all manual, right? If you look at companies like ICICI Lombard, it's all automated now, and it's not just app based. They have used AI, they have used data, they have used the complete power of cloud to digitally transform this process, where if you have an accident, you just take a pictures, you upload it using the app. AI based processes or services would just kind of see what is the damage. They will create even the code for you, and you will get it, and it's done. And literally there is no manual intervention in this process. There will be lot many examples like this, like even in banking. I was working with Axis Bank again as a customer a few days back, and the entire KYC was on video.
Hmm.
Remember the times when we had to do KYC using documents and give those signs and all that? Nothing. It was done in like within a few minutes. So if we see, I think that's the opportunity COVID gave us. And it's not just these big enterprises, even the small entities, SMBs, like your Kirana shops, right?
Yeah.
When COVID started, yes, Amazon and Big Basket, they already had these processes and infrastructure to get stuff to your home. But these kiranas, they
Yeah.
quickly transformed. They moved to WhatsApp, Paytm, Phone Pay, everything. And I think that's the opportunity we have. And the kind of innovation that happened in last 1 year wouldn't have happened in 5 years if we wouldn't have had COVID, right?
Yeah.
So I think these are some of the really cool things that I have seen around me, of how people really took this calamity as an opportunity and just completely transformed the way they think and do their business.
No, absolutely. I mean, as much as retail is broken in emerging markets, I guess, like to the points that you made, Dukan Tech hasn't emerged as a thesis for a lot of investors just like that. I mean, the adoption rate has been phenomenal. But another thing, Microsoft and ICICI Lombard are not partner and vendor. They're like this. You never find Microsoft talking about BFSI and not giving a Lombard example. And when Lombard talks about technology, they always would talk about
That's
Microsoft.
why I gave you Axis example as well, because that
No,
was
but
again a very cool example.
no. I was just kidding.
I know, I
But
know.
Rajiv, coming to your end of the story, when you look at your customers and how some of them would have probably used this opportunity, or probably newer apps and newer products that Freshworks probably put out for customers purely on basis demands that came out, all originating during the pandemic. Anything that you could talk about?
Yeah, I think Gandhali covered a lot of my use cases that I wanted to talk about. But what I'll do is I'll probably shift the gear towards the more digital enterprises that emerged
Sure.
during this period of time, right?
Yeah.
So I think the Dukan Tech and ensuring Kiranas went online and stuff like that is a great story. And my mom started shopping in WhatsApp. That is like the biggest testament that WhatsApp and the Kirana stores can get. So, but now when you talk about real born on digital companies and the digital D2C companies that were out there, right? So for them, uh, we actually had products that were catering to their need, but we realized the need for such an integrated solution, right, from marketing, sales, and support in a single suite came up during this pandemic, right, where we realized that for a digital native D2C company, for them they don't have the people, okay, to support or build a 100 agent support desk and the 20 agent sales team and stuff like that. So the whole origination of customers and acquisition of customers happens to digital channels. They need to track the funnel with a lean sales team. They need to close those opportunities, and post that they need to ensure that support and logistics and everything is taken care of digitally, right? The emergence of logistics tech that enabled them to deliver orders on time took a large part of their headaches. The second part of customer engagement, I think, was taken care by a lot of solutions like Freshworks, where we could see that they design new age journeys, right? So if you go buy a shoe at Flatheads today, okay, so you can go to their website, check their catalog, buy their shoe, and if you put it on cart and go away, within a few minutes you'll get a ping from Flatheads. So say, hey, you were on my cart. Did you change your mind or something? Can you are you looking at something? Can we help you? Can we reach out to you? Be very helpful and stuff. Those kind of journeys people were able to design within minutes, right, in solutions like us today. Second, once the order is done, okay, enabling them to pay digitally, sending payment links and everything on any channel. Today, 38% of customers start a transaction in one channel and finish the transaction in another channel. Okay, so that became a trend, and customers wanted to make sure that they're able to capture that trend. So omni-channel became a very basic thing companies started to implement, and we were able to track customer journeys and provide any input to customers on any channel that they were in through the system, right? So once customers are able to pay for it and customers are able to buy the product, post that it gets into the support mode. Okay, so you don't want customers to call you and find out where their orders are. You don't want customers to call you in any channel or message you in any channel, because it's cost to you. So we enable customers to do self-serve, quite a bit of self-serve. So set up knowledge bases, deploy bots. Bots became a very, very important thing to ensure there's a lot of transactions that happen, right? So people were able to design intelligent bots and set up bot workflows through visual bot designers, etc., within few minutes. And proactive communication also. Somebody buys a shoe, so bot will send you, hey, here is your order. It will reach out to you in the next 2 days or something like that. If there is a delay, systems were able to figure out and predictively tell the customer, hey, expect a delay, it's going to come 1 day later. Or if there's a return that the customer wanted to do, he need not move away from his phone, log into the website, ask for a return and stuff like that. On the same bot, he's going to say, size not fitting, return. Enough. We were able to understand intent, automate a lot of things for them. So that way, the user journeys became extremely seamless. Number of companies that are the barriers to entry to build good companies reduced a lot, and companies that are thriving today are the companies who really invested in experiences more than the product. Experiences became more primary than the product in a lot of cases. So that is where we saw the biggest trend, and that is where we are trying to enable startups and companies to deliver as well.
Great. So Rajiv, apart from being someone who is running the startup programs and technology alliances, I think you also have a crystal ball at your end, because you very easily you spoke into some of the points that I had lined up for my next question, which were around contactless services, there's customer experience. So Gandhali, if you'd want to add a bit to that. So I was actually going to come with the next question to talk about increase in automation, particularly on the side of customer experiences and contactless services, whether it is order placing, whether it is returns, payments. There's so many other things that come in. I mean, from your standpoint, any of those things that you would want to talk about when it comes to broader automation and technology?
Sure. So I will take a different take on it because GitHub is a platform where we enable you to create all these cool automations, right?
Yeah.
But I would also like to highlight that at GitHub we use automation for everything inside. So I have like an insider outlook here. So as you know, GitHub is a platform and we can do a lot of stuff there. But within GitHub we do everything on GitHub. So simple things like reminding somebody to fill out a status on Friday evening is a thing that is automated inside GitHub. We do not spend time sending emails to people. Everything is automated. So I think from for me, automation takes a very peculiar view, because when I think about automation, I start thinking like, how do I save the time for my team? How do I
Hmm.
save the time for my customers? How do I save time for anybody? So literally any process that we see where, so for example, I'll take a example of a process. We do customer adoption, right? So for
Mm-hmm.
example, somebody who has bought GitHub and
Yeah.
they want to learn how to use GitHub, we do those workshops. So a customer could come and tell their GitHub representative that, okay, we need this enablement workshop for us, and then uh, that request would come to us, and then we would line up a partner, or we'll line up somebody, a training partner, to kind of go and do those sessions and do those workshops. And it was a very manual process, again, everything on email, right? And the moment we took a look at it and we are like, okay, we are spending too much time here. How do I automate it? So literally within next 2 days, we automated the entire process using GitHub issues and
Mm-hmm.
GitHub actions and some other tool. And now it's completely automated. There is no manual intervention anywhere. You just create an issue that is also automated, which triggers entry in our database. When somebody picks that up, schedules
Yeah.
it, everything is done. So it's like we are taking a very narrow view here. We What we try to do here is everything that we do at GitHub. We see that, okay, is there anything that I can do to save time and manual effort here using our own platform, and we
Hmm.
just go to automate it. So for me, that's like the view of automation. And I think when you start doing automation in the small everyday stuff that you do, that's where you will build the bigger automation projects, and your mindset changes. So that has been my journey.
And I'm sure that there are pretty much both emerging new developers as well as the seasoned ones who are building like absolute cool stuff on GitHub, and
Yes.
it provides them as well an opportunity to engage. And if you're kind of practicing what you preach, I guess there's an opportunity for them to work with you as well.
Yes, I will just add one thing here, Ajay. Sorry, I missed that point earlier.
Sure, sure.
But if you just go to GitHub Marketplace, you will see so much cool stuff which has been automated by the entire developer community all around the world. Everything that is there, anybody can pick up and use it and just save probably 100 hours of coding. So, yeah, so that's the kind of innovation that's happening right there on GitHub.
So, Rajiv, if I can just pull a quick one here, any kind of marketplaces for automation that's there on Freshworks? I'm sure that the startup program that you run is one, because I also see a question from Arnab which says, "What kind of startups do you look out for your startup program?" So, while that is one part of it, but to what Gandhali mentioned, is there something of that sort where I'm sure that Freshworks has kind of acquired tons of companies over the past several years, but anything on those lines?
Yeah, so to be honest, for our whole marketplace theme was to make it extremely simple for developers to build on top of us. So, in fact, when we were one of the first marketplaces in the world to have a completely serverless architecture, and we in fact hosted the complete infrastructure for developers building on top of our products actually.
Hmm.
So we helped people to build apps rapidly. A complex two-way sync integration between a CRM and a help desk and stuff like that can be built out in less than 3 weeks at Freshworks. And today, in fact, in our refresh event last week, we even launched our low code no code app builder, where you
Hmm.
can drag and drop to build apps on top of us. We take care of the complex parts of authentication, security, hosting, infra, and all those things for our end customers, right? So which means that you solve the business problem, we take care of your infra, and we take care of all the things that you need around us. So that ways we've been extremely developer friendly, and that is why we were able to scale that marketplace to 0 to 1200 apps in this record time that we did, right? And that helps developers, and it's the same philosophy we used to use for our customers. We
Yeah.
are built for people who don't need training and adoption. People should be coming in, they should be able to figure things out by themselves, and a lot of things are very simple for them to do. And our UI UX, we invest a ton in our UI and UX for the products as well as for our marketplace. So that's why we were able to scale it. And to answer Arnab's question, since I'm anyways talking, so Arnab, we don't look for any specific type of startups. So if you are seed, pre-seed, idea level, or anywhere where you see that we can be of help with our products or our mentorship or anything like that, we'll be happy to work with you.
Great. So that brings me to the last question to wrap up this wonderful conversation. So that we have seen what probably was expected over the next 5 years in terms of broader digital transformation. COVID-19 has fast tracked everything to 18 months. So what do we expect next? What does the road ahead look like?
So shall I go next?
Go
Go
ahead,
for it.
Rajiv.
I think what we are seeing next is AI becoming absolutely mainstream, right? So today, AI and ML is available. People are using it extensively, and usually, what was reserved for enterprises and people with investments for 6 to a year or two to build strong data warehouses, data models, and stuff like that to gain from AI and ML. Today, AI and ML is becoming commoditized. So you can actually in fact, I was speaking with a lot of companies who are building ML models as a service. You can just go choose an ML model and start running it in your system. So AML is going to become absolutely mainstream, which means that a lot more automation you can expect in things. So that is one. Second, I also think that customer expectations are going to be managed. You'll get only fewer chances with each customer. So you need to design products and services where you'll be able to delight customers, not just provide the right kind of service to the customer. Otherwise, the switching cost for customers from your product or service to another is going to be really easy. So differentiate with experience. That is something that people need to look at. And the last thing that I see is I think hybrid work is going to be here for a long time. So people don't want to be in offices. People don't want to do the same things that we were doing. So if you are building an organization, start thinking about hybrid as to start building cultures for hybrid. That is going to be very, very critical because whatever we've done before might not work in the future. So the next 1 to 2 years is going to be extremely interesting to watch as how hybrid evolves. We've seen companies seeing success, we've seen companies struggling, but that is a space where if you're building a startup, focus on cultures for hybrid. That will really help you differentiate.
Gandhali, closing remarks on the same point, the road ahead.
Sure. So I think I really feel, Ajay, that the change that has happened is irreversible. We are not going to go back to how we were. I think it's just going to be the new normal, and we are going to take it ahead the way it has happened. Though we achieved the transformation worth 10 years in 2 years, it's not going to go back now. I agree with Rajiv on AI and ML. It is going to be very mainstream, and we are not even going to realize where we are using AI and ML in our daily, daily transactions. At the same time, I think that. What is going to emerge as a need to innovate and move faster. We have heard and talked a lot about the word agile, but the real meaning is going to come out now because the way the world is changing, you have to be ready to change, within, like, right now we were opening everything and we got the news about this Omicron guy, and now we don't know, right? We have to be ready for it now.
Yeah.
So I think all the agile processes and even your DevOps processes, security is going to be prime important because software is going to penetrate every aspect of your life. So I think along with AI ML, all these things are going to be very, very mainstream, and they are going to be the skills of tomorrow that people will
Yeah.
need to kind of really inculcate and use them, because that's where going to be the, the next generation's jobs or kind of skill set.
Yeah.
So yeah, for me, that's the road ahead, that it's just gonna go ahead from here.
So from 73 million getting to 100 million and 150 million on the platform.
Yes,
Perfect.
very soon.
Awesome. Awesome. So that was wonderful chatting with the two of you. I'm just going to look up if there are a question or two. Maybe we just take one before Ganesh asked me to kind of. Hello, Rajiv. Can I? Oh, someone is. Okay. It's not a question. It's an ask for Rajiv. But if anyone has a question, you can probably just raise your hand, and my colleague Ganesh will get you on stage. Maybe we take one question.
And just before we go, Jay, I think a lot of people are thinking about I think the questions are more about the startup program and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So, as
Yeah.
part of the Freshworks startup program, we also provide our startups on credits to customers, and we've also recently launched something called as Fresh Stack, which combines marketing, sales, and support as a single suite for startups. And we are giving up to $3,000 in credits for that product line, and we also have up to $10,000 in credits for our general startup program. So, if any of you are looking, have any questions on that standpoint, please feel free to reach out. Happy to help out on that as well.
Thank you for that one, Rajiv. Tanish, you're on screen now. Does that mean time up?
You're on mute as well.
You're on mute, my friend.
Yeah. So just starting to Raji's point, so we have booth set up for GitHub and Freshworks. If you are interested, do visit and show your interest there. We'll have you connected with the respective teams, and you guys can work together.
Yeah, if you have any questions, you can post it there. So even after Rajiv and Gandhali drop off the call, you can visit the booth. You can drop your questions, and we'll be happy to kind of follow it through and get you connected to the right people.
And may I add one thing, Ajay?
Yes, please.
So those who are interested in understanding about GitHub startup program, because I see a lot of startups here, please stay tuned. Going to talk about it at 6:30.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Awesome. But Gandhali, Rajiv, nice chatting with both of you, and thanks for making this conversation lively. And I'm sure that people in the audience have gathered, gained much, and we definitely will be pushing it out into our channels as well. So good content that came out. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.